Okay, welcome to our February monthly, oops, it's not the first slide, our February monthly membership meeting. So this really especially focuses on things related to online membership because otherwise we don't necessarily have the opportunity to check in and talk about things as easily as we do kind of in person. But we also talk about things happening in person as well. So to start off with, I always like to say when our next meeting is going to be. So our monthly meetings are almost always the first Monday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. The next one is Monday, March 4th. And I will actually be in Singapore then. My husband's from Singapore and we're going to go visit his family this month. So I'm very excited for that. But I will still do the meeting just from there. So I already calculated the time. It's 5 a.m. So it is a reasonable time to get up and do it. If it was like 2 or 3, I probably would not do it on that day and time. But I like to just keep it per the schedule whenever that works. So I'll be joining all of you from the future from Tuesday, March 5th, when we have that meeting. So that'll be the next one. So you can put it on your calendar. Our exercise of the month is leaps for leap year. This year is leap year. We have 29 days in February. And so we thought it'd be great to focus on leaps. And so it's basically a version of jumping, which is a very good exercise for working on power and speed and balance. And it's great for our bone health and our muscles. It's a really great exercise. So there are ways that it can be modified to work for you. If jumping is something that does not feel good for your joints, you can do it in a less high impact way. You can use support. You can do it in lots of ways. And hopefully throughout the month, you'll feel better and stronger with doing this leaping. Yes, I see a hand raised.
Yeah, just because I'll forget if I don't mention it now, but last month was the falling practice, which was really good. And I was in the other day, Alex did one where it was incorporated with the power move. So you're doing power up and then falling down. And I would just suggest that maybe that be done like once a month just to keep it in our, you know, mind so that it becomes more automatic rather than, oh, I did this in January of 2024 and I fall in March of 2030 or something.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And even the things like that we've done, the impact exercises for lower and upper body, like I want those to be things that we continue to do in our classes as well. And we're also going to do, we are going to do more falls practice. So we're just taking this month to do leaps, but probably in March, we'll be doing like backwards. And so we'll start like sitting on the ground and just rolling backwards and then maybe come up to a squat position and roll back, kind of depending on the person, how much you might progress. But this will be a type of activity and exercise that we keep working on. We'll do backwards and then there's even sideways. And yeah, so there's lots of opportunity for us to work on that. That also reminds me, which I didn't put it here, but we try in our video library to have videos of our exercise of the month so that you can watch it and learn a little bit more depending on, you know, if you're doing recorded classes or if you jump in a couple weeks in and maybe don't get as long of an explanation. But Alberto had been doing those. And then when he left in October, we were already a little bit behind in recording them and then didn't do it since then. But Maddie got a chance last week to record a bunch of the exercise of the month. So I'm going to show you all where those are in the video library. Share. Desktop. I'll share my desktop. So if you go to browse, which this is the link that I have in the daily email, if we scroll down and say show more, our exercise of the month is down here kind of under functional activities and exercises. So if you click on that, oh, good. So they have been, oh, not all of them have been added. So all of them have been uploaded to the video library and then they have to get organized into the correct category. So we do have our most recent ones from February. And then I don't know if, there we go. We have them. They just need to be moved up to the top so that they're in chronological order with the most recent ones here. So I just have to rearrange the order of the videos. So February, our leaps is here. And then we have January, the Falls Forward. So that's also something that if you ever want to go back and practice or review, this is in the video library and available. Alex also recorded longer videos kind of each of the directions of practicing the athletic falls and kind of shows the progression and how you can practice it. So she recorded those, but it was before we started doing even more training in person. And so I think I'll ask her, but either I will upload those or we may re-record them if there are some things that we have learned that we want to make sure to include in the videos. So I'll find out if she thinks that there's enough that we learned that's different that we need to re-record. Otherwise, I will upload those videos to the library. And so you could even do a little bit more and different practice with the athletic falls if you wanted to. So I'll get this section organized a little bit better. But then just so you know, we have updated videos, and I think we'll be able to be a little bit better with Maddie on doing them kind of each month as we have an exercise of the month. We'll get it recorded, explanation, modifications, progressions in a video, and we'll get that uploaded towards the beginning of the month. So now back to our template or our agenda. So we've got our monthly meeting, our exercise of the month for February. This month on this Friday already is our in-person women's group, and Carrie Dominic, a pelvic PT, will join us. She joined the online women's group last year, and we were able to record the first section kind of when she just explained common, things that people experience, things that are helpful in terms of physical therapy. That video is in educational meetings. So you're welcome to check that out if you are an online member and you didn't get a chance to join with her last time. She will also we will be asking her back to provide one of our monthly educational meetings at some point in time. So you can look forward to that as well. But for any of our in-person members, if you women, if you want to join us this Friday, 12:30 to 2 here at Rogue, Carrie will be joining us. Then our online women's group will be next Wednesday because it's the second Wednesday of the month. So that'll be same time as usual, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And sounds like there's been a good discussion regarding motivation and energy. So we're going to keep the discussion going on that. So you're welcome to join that if you would like. A week from today, Monday the 12th, will be our monthly educational meeting with Dr. Nita Chen. Nita Chen is a movement disorders neurologist. She's new in the area to Orange County. She actually did her residency here at UCI, so she's back. She's not brand new, but she is new in that she's establishing a practice. She did her fellowship at University of Florida with Dr. Michael Oken, he is one of the top movement disorders neurologists in the country, in the world. They do amazing research. They do really, really great work at this program at University of Florida. So she did a 2-year fellowship there and worked with him. So now she's in Orange County and she's setting up a concierge practice and also is seeing some people through insurance as well. And I met with her, can't remember, we got connected through somebody. She came over to Rogue to see it, and we spent 3 hours talking about things. Medication optimization, DBS, all these different things. She's just a really cool person and I think a really great movement disorders neurologist. So she is going to join us to discuss medication optimization and how you can be kind of self-assessing things and bring good information to your neurologist when you have visits with them. So I'm very excited for her to join us. So that will be on Zoom a week from today, same time and same place. And we will be able to record that meeting as well. So if you can't make it live, you can join us then. And then we are not closed any days this month. We're open on President's Day. We celebrate by exercising. So I think those are the main things because our monthly educational meeting is happening kind of early in the month. Then just to review, we are not making any changes to our online class schedule. We have made multiple changes over the past couple of months. We now have classes starting earlier, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That seems to really be going well. And then we basically have kind of adjusted the schedule a little bit more. So everything moved earlier. So we now also have 8 a.m. classes on Tuesday and Thursday, which before that was just the cardio class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we kind of moved things around a little bit so that we have high intensity classes like HIIT or boxing at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., depending on the day, and have power moves at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., different days of the week. So hopefully people are getting a little bit more of distributed exercise. You're maybe trying some different things depending on what times you want to join. Or if you really do love and want to stick with the power moves, you absolutely can. Just the timing will be a little bit different each day. And then the last change that we had made since beginning of January is we moved our PD school watch party to Mondays at 10 a.m. Alex has taken over for this year. The goal is that one of our PTs gets to do it each year, so they get to watch all the content, learn, interact with our online members who join. So Julia had done it last year, and Alex is taking over for 2024. PD School Watch Party, in case you don't know what it is, we get together on Zoom and we watch content from Dr. Mishley's Parkinson's School. So she has an online program that covers many, many different topics: medication optimization, research, things like blood work you might be interested in getting, supplements that can be helpful, food, exercise, meditation, and mindfulness. So lots of calls that they've done. And Dr. Mishley has given us permission to watch those videos and discuss them. So when, on sections like supplements and things like that, it's nice to hear kind of what the theory or reason that they might be effective or helpful is, and then also be able to talk to other people who maybe are using those supplements or tried them and stopped them. And just hearing from people, what their experience is, I think can be really valuable. So that is now earlier and on Mondays. So you're welcome. That happens every week. So you're welcome to join that. In Monday's email, I will always put the topic, kind of the section of the Parkinson's School, and then the specific topic that is being covered. We have our first, our monthly meeting, the first Monday of the month. Women's group is the second week of the month on Wednesdays. We have our cooking class every week, that same day and same time. We've definitely had some new people joining though, who have, decided I want to make some more changes to my diet. I want to make more fresh food or eat more plant-based or try new and different recipes. And if you just even are interested in talking about food, what you eat, new recipes, things like that, you're welcome to come. My friend Erin is cooking a recipe each week, but then the rest of us are there to be somewhat entertained by her cooking and also just talk about food and things that we've tried and, how we are striving to be healthy. So eating is something we all do every day. It's a place where you can really have a huge impact on your health. And and it's fun to have other people to talk with about it. And then we've got our speech class still happening in the afternoons. That is also something, if you've never tried it before, you are welcome to join anytime to check it out. So that's our class schedule. And I think it will be staying like this, for at least a few months. But let me know if there's any other specific requests for any other changes, additions. I was kind of hoping to also teach cardio classes maybe on Tuesday and Thursday in the morning and offer additional days. But unfortunately, my schedule isn't quite consistent enough to put it permanently on the schedule. And then I feel like it's kind of hard to have it be there sometimes and not be there sometimes. So that's still something I'm working on, because I'd like to have another day. I know over the winter, a lot more people might be using exercise equipment and exercising in your home, maybe not walking or doing exercise outside or driving to go to the gym as much, depending on the weather. So it's definitely something I'm looking at and trying to add. Maybe I'll at least try to add one more. Maybe adding both is what I wouldn't be able to do, but maybe I can have one of those days be available consistently. So I will work on that. Future educational meetings. So we have our meeting with Dr. Nita Chen for February. In March, on March 11th, Dr. Tanya Denny will present on naturopathic care for people with Parkinson's. She's a naturopathic doctor who did her training up at Bastyr University, where Dr. Mishley is. She has participated in multiple years of Dr. Mishley's in-person Parkinson's School program, and she's also now in our area. She did a residency at UCI, University of California, Irvine, in their integrative medicine center. And so she was there for a year, helping them actually kind of build up their Parkinson's program, because she really has a lot of experience. And so, I'm very excited for her to come. There's a couple things that she's kind of expert on. So one is the supplement Mucuna Purins, which is basically kind of a legume or bean that has a really high concentration of naturally high concentration of dopamine. So, or levodopa, I think it actually is levodopa that gets converted. So it's something that can be used for treatment, but it's challenging because with supplements, sometimes you don't know what you're getting when you order supplements. and things could not be helpful or could actually be harmful. And so knowing like what brand you want to look for and how to use it. When it is helpful is for some people, if they're really sensitive to carbidopa levodopa and they need a lower dose with the supplement, you're able to do smaller doses basically and kind of control it in a little bit different way. The other, I think, most common time that she's using it is for people who are taking pharmaceutical medication, but maybe are experiencing some fluctuations up and down where you feel good, but then not so good as kind of oral medication is in your system and then metabolized out of your system. So Mucuna can come in and kind of smooth things out and give you a little boost, but it's kind of absorbed into the system slower and it's metabolized out of the system slower as well. So she can definitely talk about Mucuna and then other supplements and kind of the testing that would typically be done. I also really appreciate her as a naturopathic doctor. Some naturopathic doctors are very kind of anti-Western medicine, and they may say not to take pharmaceutical medications and only take these supplements. And that I am not a fan of because there is so much research that indicates that the pharmaceutical medications that exist for Parkinson's are very effective. I just don't think then that they're the only solution. I think there are more things that are effective, of course, exercise and potentially supplements. So I think it's great to have someone who can look at the big picture with you and figure out if there's anything else that you would like to be doing to kind of optimize your health. In April, Dr. Catherine Longardner will be joining us. She is also a movement disorders neurologist. She works down at UC San Diego, and I was in touch with her last year, maybe even in 2022. They were doing research studies looking at continuous monitoring for blood pressure. So right now, we have blood pressure cuffs that we can put on, take your blood pressure. It takes like a minute to do it. And it's just, like when you put it on and take it. So continuous monitor would be something like a small sleeve that you could wear all the time, and it would be monitoring your blood pressure. So this, not necessary for everyone, but it is common for people with Parkinson's to have lower blood pressure. And sometimes this can affect balance and cause symptoms and be bothersome. And part of the problem is we don't totally understand how blood pressure fluctuates. And then if there is kind of pharmaceuticals or medication being used to help with that, it's like, how is the person responding to it? What's happening with their blood pressure? So we had some of our members went down and participated in this study. And so Dr. Longardner actually got in touch with me just recently and said, I would love to come up and talk to your group. She's going to talk about low blood pressure and orthostatic hypotension. So low blood pressure is, you can just have low blood pressure all the time. Like I have pretty low blood pressure normally. It's about 100/60 most of the time. If I get dehydrated, I could get lightheaded or, feel a change in my balance. Whoops. Orthostatic hypotension is when, like at sitting, your blood pressure may be normal, but when you stand up, it drops. And so some people will stand up and then get lightheaded or dizzy, and that can be a safety concern. So she's going to come and talk about that and also about research opportunities at UCSD as well. So that is going to be a meeting where she comes to Rogue in our gym, but I already asked her if we can broadcast it on Zoom and if we can record it. And she said yes. So we'll be able to broadcast that one. She is going to be coming, I believe, on a Wednesday at 1 p.m. in April. So it will be a good time to have a meeting, and we'll be able to put that on Zoom. The only thing is we do have cooking class that day on Wednesday. So I will just check with people who come into cooking class and find out, do we want to keep cooking class and her meeting, or do we want to take a break from cooking class that 1 week so that people can join the meeting with her if they would like to? So I'll talk about that in cooking class. Let's see. I saw a message come through in chat. Oh, another educational topic request: stem cell treatments for Parkinson's. So yes, I will definitely put that on our list here. That is an area where there is a lot of research happening right now. And at UCI, local to us at the university, they have 2 studies happening there currently. So I will see if I can get a speaker from UCI and they could talk about, the research studies they have going on there, but also, what other research is happening in the world, because there is research happening in Japan, in Europe, on the East Coast of the US, on the West Coast of US. So there are multiple places doing stem cell studies, and it's definitely exciting to hear about that. And that is potentially a very impactful treatment that could be available. So yeah, that is a great idea for a topic. Any other topics? Bone health is definitely one we're going to cover. Service dogs for people with Parkinson's. We're looking for someone who would be a little bit more experienced with that topic, either from a professional or personal standpoint, who could share with us about that. And then dystonia, one of the symptoms of Parkinson's, that is muscle tightness. We're also planning on having an educational meeting about that at some point in time. So any other, and stem cells, I think, deserves its own topic, but otherwise, just new treatments in the pipeline, I think would be just like kind of big picture. New treatments would be a great one to look at as well. Any other topics? Feel free to unmute if you'd like, or you can put it in the chat. But any other topics that anyone has interest in? Kim, go ahead. I see you raise your hand. You can unmute if you'd like to.
Yep, I'm good. Are you going to also maybe touch on dyskinesia in connection with dystonia?
We can. I'm not sure. It probably depends on when we like who's presenting on it, and this I have to spell that out while I type it. It will probably depend on who's, if it's a presentation that like I'm putting together, if it may be that we focus on one and then the other and do two talks, or, we'd be able to talk a little bit about them. This is also definitely a topic, especially if it relates to medication timing. Right. That will be a great one to talk about with Dr. Chen as well. I think she'll have a lot to add to that in the medication talk too.
Right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else? Any topics? So also speaking of, I should have done a little review, but speaking of educational meetings in our video library, we had a great meeting in January with Dr. Kimball Magoni, and it's one I highly encourage you, if you haven't watched it yet, I really encourage you to watch it. He is a therapist, a psychotherapist, and also has Parkinson's himself, and he was diagnosed about 10 years ago. So he has a good amount of time of living with Parkinson's. So he talked about building resilience, a lot of mindset things, and acknowledging, where you are and not having toxic positivity where we're just going to pretend that everything is great all the time. That's not realistic, but we also want to be able to make the best of the situation that we find ourselves in. So it was a really great talk from someone, who knows what it is like to go through this experience. So I highly recommend checking that out. And then this Saturday, just 2 days ago, we had our first in-person lecture of 2024 with Dr. Petzinger and Dr. Jakowick. So they are a research duo from USC, University of Southern California. Dr. Petzinger is a movement disorders neurologist. Dr. Jakowick is a PhD scientist, but they have worked together for probably like 20 years, and they're married. They're married and they have worked together for 20 years on exercise and neuroplasticity in animal models and humans who have Parkinson's. So they have done some of the most translational research in terms of showing that this is what's possible in an animal model of Parkinson's with mice who exercise, and then being able to take that same type of intervention to humans and show the same type of improvements and changes. So this was a 2-hour lecture. It's very heavy science. They're talking about astrocytes and lactate and how our cells get fueled. So if you need to watch 20 minutes, take a break and come back to it, that's totally fine. I think they came in really respecting everyone's understanding of Parkinson's and maybe overestimating things a little bit. They kind of came in saying, everyone thinks of Parkinson's as just dopamine deficiency, but it's so much more. And I'm like, honestly, I think a lot of people don't even totally know what dopamine deficiency means. So what their research really is showing, though, is how exercise is not a good treatment for people with Parkinson's. It is anytime the brain is affected by a pathology, whether it's someone who had a stroke or someone who has Parkinson's or other diagnoses, the brain has to be stimulated and engaged and challenged to change and function better. And the way that can happen is through exercise. There are other things like learning a new language is a good thing to do and definitely stimulates parts of your brain, but exercise stimulates more of your brain. It stimulates the motor parts, the sensory part, the cognitive, the problem solving. Exercise just really gets at everything. So that's basically the argument that they're making, which for us, they're a little bit preaching to the choir because we're on board and we're doing it. But I think, for people who are exercising, it's just motivating to see that what you're doing, what's likely happening in your brain. You're having better energy sources brought up to your brain for your astrocytes to use in supporting your neurons. And, like what happens with exercise in terms of synaptogenesis and connections between neurons and metabolism and autophagy of getting misfolded proteins out of cells. There's so many cool things that are happening when we exercise. So hopefully it just reinforces what you're already doing. And if you're someone who maybe is exercising a little below the threshold, you kind of know I should be working a little more intensely or I should exercise more often. Hopefully this will be the lecture that motivates you to get over that threshold and really start experiencing the benefits. So that lecture is available to watch as well. And I was just going to show, it worked out. So I used a computer and a webcam facing towards them. So we had the slides and they were big. That is one piece of the puzzle, is making sure that the slide here matched the one up there. I think I was only delayed in changing it a few times. And then I think the audio was pretty good. In the recording, I can bump up the audio a little bit more, but this setup worked well. And so we should be able to, as long as speakers are okay with it, we should in most cases be able to broadcast when we have a speaker in person. We should be able to broadcast that on Zoom and record it so that it can be watched later. So that was big for me this weekend, to have this relatively simple setup work that is quite doable for me to do for other meetings, even if I'm the only one who's there with our speakers and hosting, because this lecture was on Saturday, so no one else was working. My mom did come in. She helped me out. So we will have some that are on Saturdays, but my goal is for meetings like that to be during the week as much as possible, so that there's more people here working and so that I work 5 days a week as much as possible instead of 6 days a week. All right, so I think that's all I had for all of you. So we can open it up for questions, discussion, ideas, brainstorming. Let me know. I'm going to stop the share. I'll stop the recording as well.